we're now going to model our first simple part called a plate. So we're still in the plate project and we're going to create a new part. So we'll click on new part. Right, so the first thing that we need to do, if you remember back, is we need to create a new sketch. These can only be created on work planes or faces, as we haven't got anything. Okay, the work planes will appear. So we're going to click somewhere on the edge of this one that's flash red called the XY plane. So now we're going to a 2D mode. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle. We're going to click somewhere up here in the top left and then left click down here in the bottom right. We can put sizes on, but we're not going to do that just at the moment. We're just going to see how things work. So as you can see, as I was saying before, we've got all of these constraints that have been automatically applied. Okay, the first one is this top line is horizontal, then the bottom line is parallel to the top line, this right hand side is perpendicular to the top, and then the left and right are parallel to each other. So it's a rectangle, it will be horizontal and vertical and perpendicular to each other. So we've finished drawing the rectangle. We can right click and press OK to cancel the command. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to give this rectangle some sizes. So we're going to click on dimension. We're going to click once on the top horizontal line. We're going to move the mouse up and then left click once more to place a dimension. Okay, now we can overwrite this. You see it's already pre-selected. I'm going to change the value to 80. I don't have to write millimeters in. Remember when we set the template up at the beginning, any value that we put in will always be in those default measurements. Okay, so I've hit enter on the keyboard. I could have left clicked, and what's happened now is that rectangle's got bigger. It's actually off the screen. It looks like that there's nothing there, so all I'm going to do is just double click my middle scroll wheel to zoom out. I'm just going to zoom a little bit more. I'm still in the dimension command, as you can see, because it's still highlighted blue. At this time I could click on the left hand side to get that entire length, but I'm going to click on the top line and then the bottom line, so I'm doing from the top to the bottom, moving the mouse to the left and left clicking once more, and again that value is already pre-highlighted, so I'm just going to overwrite that with 120, left click on the tick or press enter. Okay, so you may remember from Sketching Basics that lines turn purple when they were fully constrained. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, it says that 2 dimensions are needed. What's needed now is the relationship between this box and the middle of our part, the center point. It's really important that we start using this center point. So as a general rule, when you finish a sketch, okay, everything should be purple and it should say fully constrained down here. There are a few occasions where we don't need that. I'll explain to you when that happens later on in the unit. So for now, we've got 2 dimensions needed. I could dimension from here to there, okay, but I'm going to put a constraint in because it's a much better way of making this part central to that center point. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the vertical constraint. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to align 2 points. I'm going to find the midpoint of this top line and I'm going to constrain it vertically with the center point. And you see the part just shifted to the left a little bit and these 2 lines have now gone purple. I'm going to do the same horizontally with the midpoint of the left hand side or the right hand side, doesn't matter. So just move the mouse till you find the green dot, left click again in the center, and you see the box has dropped down, right click OK to finish. Everything's gone purple and it now says fully constrained, so I'm now happy with that sketch. So click finish sketch and you'll go back to 3D mode. Okay, you probably just want to hit the little mouse or the F6 key just to zoom back out. We're now ready to turn our 2D sketch over here, sketch 1, okay, that's our 2D sketch, into a 3D feature. So we're now going to press on the extrude command. what's happening is Inventor is looking for one closed profile, i.e. a series of lines and arcs that are joined up in one loop. And a rectangle, okay, is that. It can find one, so it's automatically selected it. And because it's our first extrusion, okay, all these boxes are greyed out and it's just going to add material. So we're going to leave the thickness at 10. So the choices are extruding away from the work plane to this side, extruding away the other side, half, so this time it's doing 5mm to the front and 5mm to the back, or there's this asymmetrical one where we can put in two different values, swap them around, so we could go an amount one way and an amount the other. So we're just going to put it back on direction number 1. So we're going to change it to 10mm and we're going to extrude towards us. Once we've checked that that's all right, we're going to hit OK. So we've now created our first solid part feature. So what's happened now? That sketch 1 has disappeared. Well, it hasn't actually disappeared. If you see, there's an arrow. And remember from before, if there's an arrow there, it means there's something underneath it. And sketch 1 is now underneath extrusion number 1. They're now inherently linked. So I'm just going to minimize that again. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some fillets on the corner of our part. So we start the fillet command. Now, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you might need to move your mouse onto the working screen. It says select an edge to fillet. Okay, so if you follow the instructions, it just helps with the workflow. So we're going to pick the edges first. So we go around 1, 2, 3. Okay, now although I can't see it, I know that line's underneath, so I can find it by just moving my mouse to where I think it is and clicking. Should I have accidentally clicked an edge that I don't want, like that, I can press the Control key and left click that line again to remove from the selection. Once I've got the 4 selected, then I can go in and change the value of that radius to 15, and you'll see that all 4 get bigger. I can click OK to accept and finish the command. Okay, so now you can see that all 4 corners have been filleted to 15mm. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a slot on this face here. So this requires me to create some new geometry. So I'm going to press Start 2D Sketch. Remember, a sketch has got to go onto a work plane or a face. Well, now I've got more faces, so I just select the face that I need to use. And we go back to 2D mode. Now, slots are down here, so we just need to pick the best one for it. Well, which is this one. So I'm going to click in the center point. I'll move left or right to sort of get a length. It doesn't matter how much. Click. You see, I've just made a mistake there. I didn't go straight, so I'm just going to press cancel, restart that command again. So I'm going to go click in the middle. You see, I just need that horizontal 0 degrees to come up. Left click, and then second click will do the width of the slot. Okay, again, you see all these automatic constraints. So we've got horizontal, parallel, and the tangent that we were familiar with from the last sketching basics video. Right click OK to finish the command. So all the constraints are there. We're just ready to do some sizes. So the first dimension is the length of this straight line, which is 30mm, and the next one is the radius of the slot, which is 10mm. And again, right click OK to finish, and you see everything's gone purple, and that sketch is now fully constrained. So I can finish sketch and hit extrude. So it's found one closed profile pre-selected. As default, it adds, okay, but we want to remove material or cut it. So we're going to click cut, and then we're going to hit OK. So it's now removed 10mm of material from there. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to go and change the depth of the extrusion. So I'm going to right click on extrusion number 1 and edit the feature. That's where I control. I'm just going to double that to 20 millimeters for now and then hit OK. So if I look at the slot, that's still 10 millimeters deep. It was okay when my part was 10 millimeters thick. It went all the way through. But now that I've changed it, it's only going 10 millimeters. So if I go to the slot and then right click the feature, what I really want to do is change it from a distance to going all the way through, if that's what I want it to do. So now, I'll just turn it a little bit. That slot always goes all the way through, irrespective of how big I make the part. So I'm just going to return that back to its original 10 millimeters. Okay, so it's just something you need to bear in mind when we're talking about holes and slots. Just pay attention to do they need to be a set depth or all the way through, and if they do, make sure you enter the appropriate depth when you do that. Okay. The next command is the hole command, and we're going to put 4 holes in the corner of the part, and we're going to do it in 2 different ways. So the first way, we're going to start the hole command. So we click on the face that we want to put the hole, then we click on one edge and we're going to type 15. Don't hit enter, otherwise it finishes the command. You just need to click on another edge and type 15. We're going to go over here and change the hole diameter to 15, and you can see the hole is set on all the way through, which is what we want. So what we want to do now is click to do the second hole. So click on the face, then one edge, 15, the other edge, 15. And now I'm going to accept that. So I've got 2 holes now that are 15 mil away from the edge, then 15 mil away from the top or the bottom. We're going to start the command again, but this time I'm going to click on the face, and then I'm going to click on the edge or the face of the fillet. And you can see the little 2 circle symbol come up, which means concentric. So this hole is concentric to the fillet. So that's one done. It's remembered 15 from before, so I don't have to change that. Click on the face, see the concentric symbol, click again, and then hit OK. So we've done 2 different things there. So this time I'm going to change the size of our original box. So I'm going to right click, and the size of the box is controlled by the sketch. So I'm going to click on Edit Sketch. And I'm just going to make this 80 dimension 200. Hit Enter, and the box is updated. Finish Sketch, and now the box is updated and the holes have moved with the part. As the part's got longer, the holes have moved away. But if I change the fillet edit feature and go from 15 millimeters to 30 millimeters, the 2 holes that were drawn with the dimension haven't changed, but the 2 holes that were concentric to the fillet have moved. Okay, so when you're drawing parts, you just need to be aware of things like hole positions, and it's more for when you update the part. Just think about how that part might be updated and what will happen. So I'm just going to go back and undo those changes I made. Back to 80, and then change the fillet back to 15 millimeters like it was originally. At this point, we're now finished with this part. So I'm going to press save. It's really important not to keep accepting the offered file name, part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, you'll soon get confused. Make sure you name it as to what that part will be, the description of it, because eventually it'll end up on the drawing. So we're going to call it plate, and then hit save. And that's it, we're done for drawing our first part.